Okay, Chris, let me tell you what I did a minute ago. Last night I plugged both of those antennas into the back of this radio instead of using my switch box. But this morning when I switched it for you, I used the switch box and then no antennas hooked up to my switch box. So no wonder you didn't see any or hear any difference over there. Let me switch it again. If you've got a signal on this, I'm on the gain master right at the moment, but I'm going to switch and then you tell me what you see over there. Okay? I didn't switch on you. I just switched, but I didn't switch on you to see what the difference is over here. But when you come back, I'll note that. But you probably saw a little drop, maybe a point or two on your meter there, no doubt. That's what I'm finding out. Okay, what I'm seeing from you over here, I'm seeing a 5 on the gain master. You're hitting a S5 right square in the middle of the 5. And when I switch over to the to the astro plane, when you're on the gain master, I see a 6, and you're going down to a 5 on the astro plane. So I guess that I see that quite a bit. Sometimes I wonder, you hear this discussion all the time about guys talking about the antenna is reciprocal. It does the same transmitting as it does receiving. I sometimes wonder about that because I don't find that happen all the time if you watch that thing close. And I have checked it out before just to see if I could sense a difference. And if I see a difference at all, I always see the difference that the transmit is always stronger than the receive, it seems. Of course, we're using 2 different meters, and that has to play into it. But what do you think? That's the gain master, and that's the astro plane. Gain master, astro plane. Yeah, I understand. I understand. It's just an issue. I don't think a person can realize what I'm talking about really, unless they had 2 antennas at the same location. And even that, just having two different mounts and 2 different coaxes, even if it's the same radio, you still might have some other variables in there working, of course, that might account for that. But I have seen that, and I could make an argument. I hadn't really thought it out well how to place the argument, but I do sense that sometimes the transmit and the receive is not truly reciprocal like we imagine. It may be technically reciprocal because that's physics, I think, but in reality, in the real world, I question that. For example, if you had 2 radios, if you had 2 stations out there transmitting to each other, and one of them had a 5-watt capability. He was operating with 5 watts, and the other station was hearing him with an S3, and he was hearing the other station with an S3. And all of a sudden, this station number 1 kicked on 100 watts. The other guy would hear him higher, probably, maybe a 4 or 5, something like that. It would go up. But on the station that kicked the 100 watts on, it'd still be hearing his guy at 3 watts. You know, I mean, it's not reciprocal in that sense, except in relationship to the power. So, you know, I guess in the real world, well, this plays some part in it. I hadn't thought it out well, but I just see this happen sometimes, and I am curious about it. If what we see in the real world is really reciprocal.
What I said is what makes the difference is the angle that the signal's coming into that antenna, because when you're transmitting, you know, some antennas have more power on the horizon than others do, and those same antennas are to receive better also on local signal. Stuff coming in at funky angles and stuff coming from the ionosphere might be a different story. Like I said, that one guy I remember talking to one time, he said I went up when I switched to my ground plane on his end, but he went down. And, you know, when I switched, you know, over to the ground plane, his signal went down from what it was when I was on my 3-element beam on flat side. So, you know, it's not with talking skip, though. You know, and it's a different ball game. So talking local here, it's just they have a lot to do with the angle and, you know, how well that antenna is positioned. But it should be reciprocal. I guess if you look at the modeling programs for antennas, which I've played around a little, you know, it's pretty much the same. It's going to indicate the same on receive and transmit. You know, the pattern doesn't change. So, you know, it should be the same.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not trying to change the science, just based on theory, but I say, and I've seen differences that I couldn't explain in real applications. And of course, we don't know what that angle is, and we don't know how one antenna angle works relative to the other antenna when you got 2 of them up. The confusion a lot of times, I believe, comes on my end from people that I talk to, has to do with the fact that most people probably hadn't experienced 2 antennas. The only way I started out experiencing that was having a beam and a vertical. Of course, you can't hardly compare them 2 because in my case, I had the beam just like you did, horizontal and the vertical, and the other antenna was a vertical. So, you know, you got a big polarity difference there, so it's hard to do anything. But over the years, I started piddling with just the verticals, and I find it refreshing just to see how different antennas act, and it's kind of amazing what maybe 5 feet can do to an antenna that we would think otherwise probably wouldn't make much difference at all. Although we always wonder about moving our antenna up 5 feet, you know, that's not unusual expectation, you know, for a guy. But sometimes they do that, and they don't. Some of them tell you they had success, and some of them tell you they didn't. And I just wondered what the difference was there going on that caused those 2 guys to have different opinions. So I got curious about antennas, especially CB verticals.
Well, you know, there used to be a whole lot of them. Now there's just a handful, but I guess stereo is changing that a little bit. You know, they've got so many new antennas and stuff out there, like that Game Master. It's pretty interesting antenna. It seems to work really good. You know, it worked better than the IMAX when you switched it, and better than
I'm on the Game Master.
That top hat, by the way, is Astro plane.
There's the
folded dipole or
Astroplane, top 1,
or something. I mean,
Game Master.